That's for sure. Chelsea are considering a move for United's Alejandro Garnacho before the window closes. Enzo Maresca's been talking today and has insisted he's happy with his current forward options.
No, I'm happy with the one that we have in this moment. That we said many times. In the right side is Pedro Noni, in the left side Jadon. Misha was with us, now he's not with us, but Tyreek, I think it's a young profile that can help us. So in this moment, we are okay.
Maresca says we're okay. He's happy with his options. Does he have to be mindful then of, I guess, the balance of his squad if Chelsea go out and buy Garnacho?
Yeah, it's very interesting, the scenario Chelsea find themselves in, because I think two things can probably be true at once. That, yes, he could be happy with the options he currently has, but Chelsea can also be very interested in potentially bringing Alejandro Garnacho to the club. I mean, remember, he's just 20 years old. He has well over 100 appearances in the Premier League, so great experience for someone like him. And he showed yesterday against Rangers what he can potentially do if he can show that consistency. Some great runs, perhaps a lack of a bit of an end product. But Garnacho is a fantastic footballer, young footballer as well. And I think for Chelsea, yes, they have a lot of attackers, but what they're also seeing is a lack of consistency from their options. I think if they potentially offload a few like Christopher Nkunku, I'm just going to put it out there, right? This is my proposal. Potential swap, Nkunku to United, plus maybe a bit of money for Garnacho. Garnacho goes the other way. Nkunku would be a lovely fit for Amorim's system. I'm not saying there's any kind of inside sources on that, but that's something potentially I would like to see because it might fit both clubs. You never know.
Pure speculation from Daniel there. Garnacho played the full 90 minutes, actually, of United's late 2-1 win over Rangers in the Europa League last night. This is what Ruben Amorim said after the game on the future of the winger.
This year, this player for Manchester United was really important for us today. Let's see the next days.
How close is he to getting back to his best, and how important is he to this team?
I think he's improving in every aspect of the game. He was better today playing inside, also outside, changing positions. He's improving the recovering position. You can see it until 90 minutes. He's always there, recovering and helping. And sometimes showing some frustration, and that is really good because he wants more. I think he has potential to be so much better in every situation of the game. So what I can say is that he understood what I was trying to do and was really clear. I just want to help them, and but in the end, it's them that do the job.
From listening to that, I realise it's a difficult question to ask, but from listening to Ruben Amorim there, do you think Garnacho will be still a Manchester United player at the end of the window?
Doesn't seem likely at the moment, I'd say. I think Ruben Amorim there, the demeanour and the way in which he answered the question really said it all. And I think it's a shame, it's a real shame, because as Dan mentioned, he's got so much potential, Garnacho, but in an ideal world, I think United would want to keep him, but it's that PSR, once again, profit and sustainability rules are having such a big part to play in what clubs can do this season. We've spoken about it already. I think it's also the difference between bringing in a Patrick Dorgu, like, for example, that Ruben Amorim needs to fit into his setup and his system. That is fundamental. You can look back at perhaps bad recruitment under Erik ten Hag and the fact that Manchester United built a squad around him. They are now having to pull that back and realise that they now have to mould a whole new squad for Ruben Amorim. It's going to be a difficult process, I think, for Manchester United at the moment, but it all comes down to money, and right now it looks like Garnacho will be someone who leaves because of that 100% profit, because he is a homegrown player. It's a sad situation, as I say, because of exactly that. He's homegrown. You want to see him flourish at the club where he's been brought up, but it doesn't look likely that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Into the studio, our chief reporter said just before the commercial break that there was some news about Alejandro Garnacho. What is it?
Well, Chelsea are considering making a move for the Manchester United player before the window closes. They've been alerted to his potential availability, and he's a player they have been watching very closely. We're being told a move is possible this window or in the summer, but of course Chelsea would only proceed with a potential deal at the right price and on the right terms. And I think one thing that is actually quite important is that relations between Chelsea and Manchester United at the highest levels are very, very good. So I'm sure that if Chelsea decided that he was a player they wanted to sign, they could pick up the phone to Manchester United, see if he was available and try and do a deal at the right price.
There has been interest elsewhere, Napoli and others. Are they still in the picture?
Well, Napoli are very interested in buying the player. A couple of days ago, United's transfer negotiator, Matt Hargreaves, was in Naples for talks with Napoli. I think the issue is one of valuation. United had been willing to accept an offer around £60 million to begin with. Then they said, OK, we're willing to drop that to around £55 million. But so far, Napoli have been unwilling to pay more than around £46 million for Garnacho. And our colleagues at Sky in Germany are reporting, and also Sky in Italy, saying that Napoli have now switched their attention to the Borussia Dortmund forward, Karim Adeyemi. Now, he's a player they're very interested in. Antonio Conte, the Napoli manager, apparently wants to speak to the player. But Sky in Germany are saying the winger does not want to move in the winter. But they are saying that Napoli are willing to pay around £44 million for him. So it looks like Napoli have an alternative target as well.
Would London staying in the Premier League suit Garnacho better?
Very good question. I think if it comes down to a choice between Chelsea and Napoli for him, there are lots of things for him to weigh up. Obviously, coming from Argentina, playing for Napoli, the fact that Diego Maradona used to play there, the stadium is named after him. Obviously, that is a big, big draw. And if he was to play for Napoli, there's a very, very good chance that he would win the title this season, working under Antonio Conte. Then he has to weigh that up all against the fact that if he was to move to Chelsea, he would move to London, one of the best cities in the world, and also he would remain playing in the Premier League. I think for what it's worth, from United's point of view, I would imagine they would prefer to sell him to a club abroad rather than have such a good young player as Garnacho playing for one of their rivals. But I think if we're talking about Chelsea and Garnacho, I would say he's a player they're very, very interested in. I just get the sense that they're biding their time to make their move at the right time. I think if a deal is there to be done, they will certainly be willing to do it. The way that Chelsea operate in the transfer market, we've seen them selling a lot of players, buying a lot of players. There are question marks over Mykhailo Mudryk, how long he is going to be out for. I think it makes sense to them to be in a position where they can make a move for a player like Garnacho, who is very, very young, has a big, big future ahead of him in the game. And obviously they know that Manchester United have some financial considerations which mean that they will be willing to sell a player like Garnacho. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Chelsea to make a move to try and sign him. Will it be today? Will it be tomorrow? I don't know. For instance, Fabrizio Romano on social media saying that he believes Chelsea are going to make a move very, very soon. He believes they will be talking to United very, very soon. That is not information we have. We're being told certainly they're interested. Certainly they're watching him very, very closely. And it would be not surprising at all if they were to make a move very quickly.
Left backs or left wing backs, however you want to look at that. We're going to take a look at 3 options from the Premier League and 3 options from Europe. First up, our Premier League options. These players have been linked with Manchester United for a transfer in the January window. Aït-Nouri at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's start there. If I'm looking at a Premier League player for Manchester United, he for me is number 1. Only Anthony Robinson in the Premier League this season has got more assists than Aït-Nouri. Capable of playing a lot of different positions, could play as a left winger as well, would be a good asset to Manchester United. But I think one of his biggest skill sets, which fits into Ruben Amorim's model for this position, is ability on the dribble. Class him as a dribbling wing-back, a player that's got that speed to carry through the centre of the pitch. Looking at Kerkez, again, a player that's kind of shone this season in the Premier League. No defender under the age of 21 has been directly involved in more goals. We all saw his brilliant goal against Newcastle last weekend, a player that just keeps improving season on season. And finally, Mitchell at the end there, probably more the defensively minded option for Manchester United, but again plays in a back three system as a wing back. So, it wouldn't be too difficult to move to Amorim's system. The big thing with him, of course, the defensive duels won, 5th in the Premier League for that statistic. And just looking at his dribbles as well, it's the lowest of our sample here, but in fact, he has the best dribble completion rate of any fullback in the Premier League at around 74%. So for me, Aït-Nouri number 1, Kerkez number 2, and Mitchell number 3 for the Premier League. So let's go to Europe. Let's get on the plane. Let's fly and find some other players. Of course, Jeremy Dorgu is a player that Manchester United are in talks with Lecce about. A dribbler, a guy that can carry through, that's got real extreme characteristics, that would be an asset for Manchester United. What I like about Dorgu is his finishing, something that you wouldn't necessarily talk about as a wing-back, but think Marcos Alonso in Antonio Conte's title-winning side, getting on the end of moves and putting the ball in the back of the net. Moving to Gutierrez at Girona, he's a player that came through at Real Madrid, technically very, very good. Previously, Girona played with a wing-back moving inside, an inverted wing-back, as you'd say, very comfortable on the ball in those central areas, good at attacking that inside channel to get crosses. This season, Girona have lost a lot of players. They've switched to a back five, again a wing-back, but he's also spent time in central midfield. Those 9 assists, of course, cracking in the last calendar year, something that would add something to United's attack. And finally, from Germany, of course, we've got to visit the Bundesliga. Mittelstadt is a player I've been watching for a number of seasons now. At Stuttgart, we're seeing his potential at 27 years old, a player that very much is providing the width on the left-hand side for Stuttgart, who have been one of the best teams in the Bundesliga in the last 2 seasons. There's 6 options. Again, Manchester United need to be busy because this is a key position for me. And that's enough of my statistics and talking.